That's it. And even though I had showed him, and that was almost 10 years ago, I still wasn't showing anyone else. You know, I was still hiding. So he accepted me, but I didn't accept me. You know, I just thought I went good enough. I mean, at home, so my kids saw it, and then my sister saw it, and it wasn't until last year that I went out in public, you know, with nothing on my head.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Inspired By, with me, your host, Manjeet Nijja. So this week, I have somebody on the show who I have known for quite a number of years. We used to work together a long time back. In fact, I can't remember when it was that long ago, but we've kept in contact. Now, if you've been watching the corporate show, you would have seen her on there. Her name is Patricia Campbell. Now, Patricia is an amazing, amazing lady. Not just because she's my friend, but also because of the work that she does as a business analyst. I had a discovery last week with her when we were talking, and we were talking like this, and she came on the call, and there was Patricia looking very, very different to the Patricia that I have known for, as I said, a number of years. And the difference was that Patricia had no hair. And I was a little bit like, oh, that's Patricia. And I'd also seen her WhatsApp picture as well. And I was thinking, okay, maybe it's a relative or somebody like that she's celebrating and so on. And then Patricia came on the call. Now, unknown to me and plenty of other people who know Patricia, Patricia has alopecia. I don't know anybody with alopecia, or I thought I didn't know, and now I do. So what I wanted to do was have Patricia come on and talk to us about her journey, her pathway through alopecia, and what gave her the courage, maybe, the thought process behind sort of like saying, do you know what, I'm no longer going to wear a wig because this is who I am. This is Patricia. So without further ado, Patricia, how are you?
Hi, Manjeet. Thank you for such a lovely introduction. I'm really, really well, thank you. Doing really well.
Excellent. So thank you again for coming on board. I really appreciate you being so open, because I think your message is really important. There are so many people out there who have alopecia, okay? And there's lots of us, myself included, who are ignorant to it. You know, how it impacts you on a day-to-day basis. All of the things that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis from alopecia, from when you were young up until now, and the decisions you've made along the way. So if we can kind of like go back a bit. So when you first realized there's something wasn't quite right, and maybe you went to doctors or whatever it was, how you discovered that you actually had alopecia.
Yeah. So it was about 20 years ago when I first started to notice that my hair was thinning, and it was mainly on the crown of my head. I was actually on holiday in Jamaica, and I went to a hairdresser's. I went to get my hair done, and the hairdresser said, your hair's really thin at the top, and I don't want to do anything to it to make it any worse. So I thought thin, I just hadn't noticed that. I think the styles I had, my hair was normally just sort of swept back. I didn't really notice that it was thin. Didn't have anything done on holiday, came back, and then I really started to notice that it was getting thinner and thinner, sort of around the crown, around sort of the front of my hair. And within about a year, I had to start wearing sort of wigs and weaves and head wraps. I went to the doctor, and he just said it's alopecia. You know, it's not going to come back. All your hair might fall out. He gave me some sort of medicated shampoo, but nothing really worked. And for me, at that point, I sort of went into hiding mode. I thought, well, I'm always going to have a wig, I'm always going to have a weave. Well, initially it was weaves. I used to have sort of hair sewn into my hair, but eventually that didn't work because my hair was getting thin and thin, and it was breaking, and then there was bald patches. So I had to sort of wear wigs. I found a fantastic hairdresser who was really sympathetic to my needs, and she started making bespoke wigs for me. So my thing was they had to look as real as possible. So I would spend money on getting really good human hair. I would just spend time on caring for it, not really caring much for my scalp and the little hair that I had left, but it was all about maintaining the wig and maintaining a look.
Yeah, I mean, how did it make you feel when you were diagnosed with this? Well, you don't expect to go to the doctors and the doctor say, oh, you got alopecia, so live with it.
Yeah, you know, I was like, why me? Why me? What did I do to get this? And my thought was, well, no one can ever see this. No one can ever see this. No one can ever know. It is my secret. It is my shame. You know, I did feel there was something wrong with me. Why can't I grow hair? Because everybody grows hair. Everyone has hair on their head, especially if you're a woman. You have hair. Sort of your hair is your crowning glory. It's a symbol of beauty. And for me, I felt less than. I when I didn't have my wig on, I'd be in the mirror, doing sort of morning routine or whatever, cleaning your teeth, washing your face, and I'll literally look at myself from sort of eyebrows down. I couldn't look at myself and look at my head and feel anything but guilt, shame. I didn't like what I saw. I didn't see myself as beautiful or as worthy. So nobody saw.
Some of that has to do with society, how we are from, very, very early ages, from probably before we can even talk, we are bombarded with images of what beautifully supposed to look like you said, with the long flowing locks and, look a certain way and so on. And then that's a society pressure. Then you've got the cultural pressure as well, and your family pressures and so on. So it must have been quite a lot for you to get kind of like your head round, really.
It was. And, all that sort of energy and effort went into getting good wigs and good weaves and making sure that I looked good and making sure that no one would ever know that I was hiding this secret.
You did a good job, because myself and plenty of others, we had no idea, absolutely no idea at all.
Yeah, no one knew, and eventually it was like when I met my partner, who I'm with right now, I shared it with him, and he was like one of the first people I ever shared it with, because it was a new relationship, was getting on really, really well with someone I had known in the past, and I thought, this is my second chance with him, we can really make it right. I thought, I can't have this between us. I can't have this big sort of secret between us. So I told him about it first, and I didn't show him. So I just said, like I wear wigs, and there's an issue going on, because he's used to, he's gone out with women that wore wigs, but they had a full head of hair. But for me, I was hiding, and I told him, and he was lovely. And then it must have been, I don't know, a couple of weeks later when he asked me, "Can I see it?"
Oh, wow.
And that took my breath away. So I gasped, and I said, okay. So I took my wig off, and he looked at my head, and he kissed all the bald patches, and he said to me, why don't you shave your head? Because there was hair in other places, and the hair in other places, I didn't like care for it. I wasn't, looking after it. So he said, why don't you just shave your head? So we went and bought some shears, and he shaved my head for me, the first time, and it was lovely.
How did it make you feel when he said, that he wanted to see, and B, from his reaction, how did it make you feel, his reaction? Obviously a very caring and loving reaction. So how did that make you feel?
So when he asked me to see it, I gasped, because it was just out of the blue. He didn't say to me, well, on 2 days time I want to see your head. And at that point, to me, that was a pivotal moment. I could have said no, and then this thing would have been bigger, and then there would have been that pressure that one day he's going to want to see it, and I'm going to have to show him. Or the other thing was, well, I love him, I trust him, to show it. And sometimes I just think it's it's getting rid of that pressure. So in showing him there was relief because he's seen it now. He's seen it. That elephant in the room has gone. And then next was the reaction, and he was just so sweet. He had the best reaction ever. He kissed me, he reminds me that I am still beautiful, and then he said, shave your head. And even with my head shaved, did I feel better? I don't think I felt better immediately.
Yeah.
I didn't feel better immediately, but my other half, Richard, he loved my shaved head. He loved it. He, rubbed it, kissed it all the time, and that made me feel better. And I just wanted to.
I mean, the viewers who are watching this have not seen you the way that I've seen you over the years. And when I saw you last week, I was a bit like, what?
Yeah.
That was just like a split-second reaction. And then straight away, the first thing I noticed, which I always notice about you, is your beautiful smile anyway, but your cheekbones are so much more pronounced. And I said to you, you look absolutely stunning, and you do. And for you to have taken that big step, first of all, sort of like opening up to your partner. And you're right, because if you can't be open and honest with the person who's going to be in your life, the person who loves you and you love them, then you need to be open on it. They have to accept you. But more importantly, it's the fact that you have to accept yourself.
That's it. That's it. And even though I had showed him, and that was almost 10 years ago, I still wasn't showing anyone else. I was still hiding. So he accepted me, but I didn't accept me. I just thought I wasn't good enough. I mean, at home, so my kids saw it, and then my sister saw it. And it wasn't until last year that I went out in public, with nothing on my head. And I was on holiday on Ibiza, and I'd gone away with family and friends. So there must have been about 12
I'm
people.
just going to stop you there, because the fact that you did it when you weren't in the UK is a big telltale sign. It was kind of like, I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it away from my normal environment.
Absolutely, yeah. So I was in Ibiza. I had come down to breakfast. I had a head wrap on. I'd gone back to the room, and I was boiling hot. I was so hot. I'm a lady of a particular age, so hot blushes and stuff. And I thought to myself, I cannot come out of this hotel room with anything on my head. It got to the point where if I had come downstairs, back by the side of the pool with a wig or a head wrap, I thought I was going to melt. I was just too hot. I came down with nothing on my head, and immediately my two brothers came and gave me big kisses, and they said, oh my God, you look absolutely amazing. My mom was really happy, my sister, and the friends that I was with all just hugged and kissed me, and that was it. It wasn't a thing. I had made it an absolute massive thing. So I spent the rest of the holiday with nothing on my head.
So isn't that lovely for a lot of the things that as individuals, as human beings, we go through? We run these stories in our head, and we turn them into some sort of Hollywood, or in my case, Bollywood blockbusters, and something that they're not. It's something could be quite small, but we turn it into something a lot bigger than it actually is. And again, it's down to the pressures that we feel from society and so on, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I always say it's not a thing until you make it a thing, and this is not a thing. And no one really cares, no one. But I made it into this massive, almost like a monster. Something that I was forced to live with, something that I couldn't embrace. I couldn't see me. Just me. I saw me through the lens of somebody with no hair, and that there must be something wrong with me. I didn't have a major illness that made my hair fall out. It was just, to be honest, the doctors think it was down to really bad anemia. I suffered from anemia for a long time. I think for me, there was issues in my life that I never dealt with. There was lots of emotional pain and hurt that I dealt with. True lack of self-care, so lack of just looking after me, expressing my thoughts and feelings,
and that's
dealing with past trauma.
That's actually quite important as well. The self-care element. There is that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. got
Yeah.
to take care of yourself, and if you're not
Yeah.
taking care of yourself, things will start to suffer, and then it will have a knock-on effect on other areas of your life.
That is it. And I think because there was so much lack of self-care. I mean, this was before I met Richard. This was, sort of in my 20s and 30s, where on the outside I was doing really well, I was working, and I was looking after my sons, but there was a real neglect of my needs, and I just thought I wasn't giving myself what I needed. I had anemia on top of that, so had transfusions because I had such low iron levels in my blood. I just think my head just thought, if you're not going to look after you, why am I going to hang around? Maybe it was a reminder to say you've got to start looking after yourself.
That is such an important statement you've just made. Your body says, if you're not going to look after me, then why should I look after you? And it's going to trigger something somewhere. I just want to talk about something you just mentioned, which is your boys. How have they, I mean, they've obviously, known you all their lives because they're sons. How have they dealt with this? Or is dealt with it is the wrong way for me to put that, if you know what I mean?
They have never expressed anything at all. I'm mum. I take care of their needs. They've never expressed anything at all, and nothing negative, nothing positive. It was just, mum. Is there food? Yes, okay. Everything's okay.
Well, that's the main thing, because as you rightly said, they've only ever seen mum, and that's the way it should be.
Absolutely.
So how did you get to the point then of where we are now, having this conversation? What led you to where we are?
Well, I used to coach women. I still coach women on the side about being authentic, about being empowered, and I always felt like my message wasn't true. I always felt like I was being disingenuous because I was hiding, and the more I tried to work on myself, on that self-love and all the rest of it, it just wasn't gelling. So I kind of turned my back on coaching. I thought I need to work on me, and so in the back of my mind it was I've got to be more open, I've got to be free. And I think being in lockdown, even though I'm still working and all the rest of it, being on lockdown, it just gave me so much time to go within, to reflect, to really, clean house almost, to sort of, look at all the bits that we don't like, shine a torch. And the biggest beacon shining was my head, So literally one day, I think it was on Monday evening, I did a quick Instagram live, and I said, this is the first time I'm showing the world my head. And I think there must have been about 6 people that caught me. I was only on for literally about 10 minutes. And then I set myself a challenge. I said to on Instagram that I'm going to go live on Sunday to talk about my journey. And between the Monday and the Sunday, I just went out with nothing on my head. So the first time I went out in London, Richard came with me. Bless him. We just went for a little walk around the park, and it was so nice to feel the sun on my head, and sort of wind on my head. But you know what? The biggest thing is that nobody cared. No one cares.
That's what you were saying. You turned it into something that it wasn't, and you were expecting people to stop and stare at you, when in actual fact, you just somebody walking along the street.
Yeah, nobody cared whatsoever, and since that day I've not gone out with anything on my head at all. When it gets cold, it might be a different situation because but it's I felt free, and I'm accepting me and enjoying me.
What's been the reactions of colleagues and so on?
Okay, so that was sort of the next big thing, I'm still working, tons of video calls, and I just went for it. So the first day, the first meeting, no one said anything, the second meeting is like, oh my God, Patricia. And I think I'd rather the, oh my God, Patricia, than no one saying anything. But no, so every meeting now, it's just been, you know, me in my head. Some people have said, you know, you look absolutely gorgeous. What's gone on? I've just said, it's lockdown here, you know. So, and some people have told the story, but I am owning this, and I'm not going to give anyone permission to make me feel you know, bad about it. You know, I'm taking that back. I think before that was in my head, but I'm taking that back. And if I accept me, to hell with anyone else.
Yeah, and I think, you know, like you said, the first video call that you had with your colleagues and so on, they were probably thinking, now, should I say something? Shouldn't I say something? I don't want to upset her. So I can imagine sitting there as well, because I went through the same thing, and I was like, I was a bit like, is that Patricia? What's happened? And I just, because I've known you for such a long time, I just went for it, you know. But that's because I've known you. I can imagine from a work colleague perspective, even though people have known you for a number of years, it's always that little bit of, well, that's somebody's personal life. Do I ask the question? Do I leave them to it? I mean, if there's somebody, one of your colleagues is watching this, what advice would you give to anybody who comes across with anybody who has alopecia, who's suddenly decided, not suddenly, you know, over years, has decided and taken that decision, actually, do you know what? This is me. I'm taking this off. And this is who I'm accepting me. Now it's time for the world to accept me. So going back to that comment you just made about, you know, the colleagues and the first Zoom meeting that you had, or video call, whatever it might have been. You know, and the reaction of no reaction. Me, I've known you for a long time, but some people may not feel confident in asking you. They might have all these questions going around their head, but you can see the questions on the face. And also, so what advice, would you give to somebody who has taken that decision to say, do you know what, this is who I am, I don't have any hair, world accept me, or don't accept me, it's your choice. And secondly, to somebody who's maybe known you a long time, but doesn't feel confident enough to have that conversation?
Well, for the first part, you don't owe anyone an explanation. So for me, what stopped me from sort of revealing my head was, what would I say to people when they asked me the question, so what happened? You know, and I had to realise that I didn't have to say anything. I didn't have to explain myself away. You know, it is what it is. It is what it is. But people have been asking me, you know, and I've just said, this is me. This is me. I've been dealing with alopecia, or I said it's lockdown here, you know, and this is it. This is me, you know. And that's good enough. That's good enough. I'm happy with my response. If the other person's not happy, then that's up to them, really, truthfully. We know that they've got their opinions and stuff, but it's none of my business. It's none of my business. And for people that are suffering from alopecia and do want to, you know, be free, go at your own pace. Go at your own pace. Find, you know, if you need to find a safe environment to do your reveal, if you need to reveal to one person, then do it. But go at your own pace. There is no right or wrong journey for you. It's what, you know, it's a growth process, isn't it? It's like one step at a time. You sort of tweak.
I mean, I think personally you're so inspiring to other people, hence I said to you that day, I didn't even hesitate, and it was only last week, didn't even hesitate. Patricia, please, can we have a conversation around it? Because I find you inspiring, and I think other people will find your story inspiring, and also people who have alopecia, they'll hopefully gain some comfort from this, that they can actually go out there and live their lives the way that they want to, and not the way that society expects them to. And not only that, but also not in the way that they've kind of made in their heads that they should live their lives.
Absolutely. I mean, since I did the Instagram live, I was on for an hour. I had about 20 odd people and been asked tons of questions. And since then, I've had 3 people reach out to me that I didn't know, to just talk about, just talk about their journeys, you know, with alopecia. I had another friend, she wants to make a short film about it, so, you know, we were talking about that. So lot of bits of magic has happened with this. So I know I will be doing more with it. I'm not quite sure how or what, but something is coming together.
I think it's amazing that just by, that one single decision, although it was a hard decision for you to make,
Yeah.
it took you 20 years to make that decision.
Yes.
To gradually come to that point. And then where that decision is now leading you, it's kind of like, that old saying, the world is your oyster.
Yeah.
It's opened up, and it will continue to open up more doors for you, I'm sure.
Absolutely. But, if I decide to, go to work and I have on a pink wig, whatever I have on my head, I just have to own it. So I just own my baldness. I own, if I'm wearing a wig, I'm wearing it from a place of empowerment because I want to, not from a place of hiding. If I wear a head wrap, it's a place of empowerment, not because I'm hiding. And that's the biggest thing for me, and that's my biggest learning. It's doing this from a place of strength and a place of power, rather than from a place of hiding and shame and embarrassment.
Can I just say, if you do go to work with a pink wig, can you send me a picture? That I would
absolutely.
That I would
absolutely.
Love. But if, going back to what you were just saying, on a serious note, it is important to own who you are as an individual, and not everybody can do that.
Yeah,
I've struggled with it over the years myself. Owning who I am, for lots of different reasons, and then it is hard to make that decision to say, do you know what, well, this is who I am, and then have to live with it and live with that decision on a day-to-day basis. And we all hear about being your authentic self and all of this stuff put out there, but how many people are really being their authentic self? That's what I find that quite interesting. And then when someone like yourself makes that decision, to me, that is you being your authentic self. That's not you just acting, the latest woo language or latest self-development, self-mastery, whatever you want to call it. That's you being real. Authentic just means being real, does it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the main problem is that the imagined sort of pain of being real is far greater, than being real. So all the anxiety I had, all the shame I had, was over something that hadn't happened yet. I just imagined it was all imagined. It was all in my head. It was all made up. And I just got to a point where I just thought, no more.
So, I'm going to go back to the medical profession.
Yeah.
How can people in the medical profession actually help you when this diagnosis has come through?
Yeah.
How can they actually be maybe a bit more caring, or show them a bit more compassion, or show you different avenues, or whatever it might be? How can the medical profession actually help people when it comes to alopecia?
I think for me, my doctor could have signposted that maybe, I need to look after my mental health around this. It was just, try this shampoo, doesn't work, then, I mean, and I also saw a trichologist, and trichologists are a lot more sensitive and stuff, but they were doing their job and they were saying, yes, of course it's going to grow back, it will definitely grow back, just do this. And I worked with one for a long time, and it was very expensive. I went to see them, I think it was once every other week. They weren't around the corner from where I lived, and potions and gadgets and this and that, and but there wasn't a single hair growth. I mean, the hair that was on my head was growing, but the hair, the bald patches weren't, less bald. So, and they never ever said, Patricia, we need to stop this. There's no sign of life. I was like, come on, you just have to believe. And eventually I just turned my back on that as well, and just thought, I'm not going to do anything about it.
So how important
save some money.
So how important is it that you take back control? Because that's what
it is.
Control of the situation.
100%. You need to be driving, that bus yourself. You can't leave it in other people's hands. And it's about that acceptance. And also, I think for me, I've taken the pressure off growing hair. There's no more focus, got to grow hair, got to grow hair. Yeah. It's just, if my hair comes back, it comes back. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I am cool with it, I just thought there was this, all my energies were directed in the wrong place, you know, and all that pressure on my poor scalp just to show signs of life. You know, this is me. This is me.
So I'm going to bring you smack bang up to date now. So where we are today.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you go from here? Where are you going from here? Where does Patricia grow? Where does Patricia take all of this?
You know, I am still growing. I am still definitely growing. I've not been in every single sort of social situation yet. So there is that first day I actually walk into the office. They, you know, my dad, bless him, he saw the WhatsApp picture and he's like, I don't like that. I don't like it at all. Put it back.
Typical parent, yeah, honest and open and brutal maybe at times, you know, but coming from
you know, he said, like, you know, so there's still a little bit of ickiness in me. There's a little bit of, you know, less than in me, but I recognize it and I'm not running from it. I'm going to go to it and I'm going to work on it and let it go, you know. Beyond that, I don't know. I know I'm going to be doing this short film, so more exposure, more being, more authenticity, and that feels quite big as well. There's still a bit of, you know, growing into that, but yeah, it's. I'm looking forward to my metamorphosis almost.
Yeah, it's almost especially as you're wearing such a bright colour today, which I love on you. It's almost as if you've been in a cocoon. Yeah. And now your wings are unfurling and the butterflies appeared.
Absolutely.
That's
absolutely
exactly how I see you. It's just come to my mind now. That's how I see you. You've come out of that cocoon and it's like, here are my wings, here's my colour.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to wearing like brighter lipsticks and, you know, bigger earrings and really getting into makeup and stuff, you know. I'm going to have fun sort of creating a new look, you know, around my bald head, and if it inspires other women, then, you know, fantastic. I will be doing taking some photos. My brother's a photographer. I'm going to take some photos. I'd love to get some sort of body art on my head, you know. So yeah, I'm going to play with it and have fun with it.
I absolutely applaud you.
Thank you.
You know, I hate saying this term, but I'm going to say it because for coming out.
Yeah.
Coming out. And you've come out from under your wig and you've said to everybody, this is Patricia, and you're open and saying that I'm still working on it. I still have these I have maybe minutes or days or hours of, have I done the right thing? What am I going to do next? And so on and so forth. So thank you so much. One other thing, if there's somebody who's watching this who has alopecia, how can they get in contact with you? Because I think they'd find you inspiring.
Through LinkedIn, Patricia Campbell. I'm on Instagram as cherry_stars. Or through you. I'm sure you'd pass the message on to me.
Oh, absolutely, I will do. For those of you who are watching, if you didn't quite get Patricia's details there, you'll find them at the bottom of the video. So I'll put all her details in there, and then please, by all means, do contact her. If not, come through me, and I'll pass on your details. Patricia, I'm going to let you go because I know you've got another call to be going on because you're such a busy woman now. So thank you once again for coming on board and being so open and honest and sharing all of your thought processes behind it, your journey and so on to where you are today.
Thank you. You're so welcome. Thank you.
So those of you who have found that interesting, please do like and share. And also, I think the sharing has been more important than anything else, really. Share it with people you think may find this interesting. If you want to know what's coming up next, hit the bell icon and then you'll get a notification of the next episode. So thank you for watching and I will see you next time. This is me, Manjit Nidhi, your host. Thank you.